Hey everyone, Meteorologist Tuttle with you. Been watching the storms develop little by little over the last couple of hours, and we finally have one out in western Oklahoma. Looks like it's pretty close to producing a tornado. It's had a tornado warning on it for a while, but it wasn't very organized at that time. But it's just now starting to kind of get that way. So we'll start our live tornado coverage across Oklahoma. And of course, it'll start out in western Oklahoma first. The storm that had us in around the metro area here in Oklahoma City fell apart, is long gone, produced quite a bit of hail with it. I even had what we would call a hook echo with it, but again, not all hook echoes produce tornadoes. So that particular storm kind of probably ran into a stronger cap area and then diminished, and we have these other storms now out west. The shear is not exactly perfect for them though right now to produce a tornado, so they're struggling as a lot more as a result. But as we go into the 6, 7, and 8 o'clock hour, that shear should improve, and therefore the probability will continue to go up.
Hey Aaron, I'm noticing I can see a lowering wall cloud developing southwest of Hollis on the storm coming up. This merger might choke off this McKnight storm, and that southwest take over.
Okay, that's Chance Cold Iron. So he's out there in western Oklahoma, and this is his live view right here. So he's looking underneath the base of that thunderstorm that we're talking about, and so that's what we're going to be focused on here for this next few minutes anyway, and see what goes on. So let's take a look at the radar. So first off, we pan out. I want to show you the state in general. Again, quiet over the body of Oklahoma for right now. Even down south into Texas, there are a couple of thunderstorms out here in western Texas. Tornado warned storm down here along I-20. Just north of there, north of Sweetwater. Again, we'll focus on the one that's tornado warned in Oklahoma for right now. There's two pretty decent ones. There's one here on I-40 out just west of Sayre, up around Eric. This one has just been producing some hail, and it has a kind of a lowered base on it, but again, not quite organized yet to that point. And the one down south from there, again, this is around the west of the Duke area, west of Mangum. This is going to be south of Highway 9 and just east of Highway 30. So this is just northwest of Gould. And this little spot here, where we see this little icon, this is a wall cloud icon that was reported in earlier, just from a generic standpoint, from a storm chaser standpoint of view, from around Hollis looking to the north. That is where this circulation feature is, and so that's where we're going to focus to see if it happens to produce a tornado. If we look at the more detailed view on the radar as far as the reflectivity coupled with the velocity data, so reflectivity on the left, which just shows you the heavy rainfall in the storm and or the hail, and then on the right, where we have our green and red colors coming together, that's our couplet. In other words, that's our rotating what is a wall cloud, and then what comes out of that wall cloud oftentimes is a funnel and or the tornado. So that's what we're going to be focused on here. And if I back it up a couple of frames, right there is probably when it looked its best, and that's when I decided, all right, we'll better go ahead and go on. Prior to that, there really wasn't much to it. If we go to the next couple of frames, look, that's already fallen apart. See that right there? And as Chance mentioned, there's a kind of a cell merger trying to take shape. In other words, this cell here and this cell here are now becoming intertwined. So let's go back with time. Let's see how they've kind of come together. All right, yeah. So the forward flanked draft here of the storm, outflow, has now infiltrated the hook echo. And usually that's kind of some colder, more stable air at times. So that kind of chokes what would be the developing area of the tornado. So timing-wise, that worked out absolutely perfect if it was going to choke it off and not allow it to continue with the warm, unstable air that has to snake in between the storms. So we'll see. It's a little disruptor, at least temporarily. Will it stay that way? We'll have to wait and see. Anytime you have storm mergers, it can go one of two ways. It can either disrupt what was currently happening, or if something's on the precipice and it needs a little kick, depending on how things interact, it can also be a kicker to get those tornadoes to develop. Regardless, you got two strong supercell storms out here linked together, separate from the one just up to the north here around Vinson. Now that one also has a little mid-level rotation. They all have a little mid-level rotation, but you can see here probability of a tornado on this one is around 1%, so it's nowhere near where it needs to be for that to happen. This one here is at 4%, so quite low. Let me go back a little bit. Let me see if it actually ever had a higher number. Let's see. Nope, it was low as she goes. So we'll see if it starts to ramp back up. Normally, we'll see these numbers climb quite a bit higher, from 4 to 15 to 25 to 40. Big steps is usually how that's usually used. So we've had a couple of views out here in that area. We have a storm chaser right here that's underneath what was left of that little hook, and that's his view right here. And again, there's nothing there as far as a tornado is concerned. Go back to what Chance had on his live feed, and he's watching the clear slot, what we call the rain-free base in here. All right, well, you got no storms at all. I mean, in other words, no hail, no wind. It's just an area of darkness and where the clouds are a little bit lower. And you look for that area to see if you can get a funnel and or a tornado. In this particular case right now, that is not happening, which is good news, of course. And you got a lot of storm chasers out there, and so they're going to kind of be probably in each other's live shots. There's some of the shots I've seen from storm chasers over the last few weeks of storm chasing. Oh my goodness, I have never seen so many all on the roadways, and just not something I like to do anymore as a result. It's just too crowded. Let's see. So Weather Service also put out a little note here that said that the tornado potential with the northern storm was just disrupted due to the southern storm. So they'll kind of focus now on the southern storm instead and see if that starts to do anything. So right place, right time to disrupt. It was starting to trend that direction, which is why I got on. So as I get on, the storm falls apart. That figures. But that's all right. Nobody wants a tornado anyway, unless you're a storm chaser. Anyways, this is a view out here in western Oklahoma. So Chance is doing a good job out there. He's got a good stream, got a good signal. A lot of times the signals are problematic out here with the cell phone towers. It just gets really crowded with all the storm chasers using up all the data. Let's see. So he again is out around the Gould area. He's just west, so he's looking in this little section here. And like we said, we were in a good spot for it to see if something does develop. But as of right now, radar looks pretty good. And this might be a deal where I have to log on and off just as conditions warrant, because I'm not going to sit here and tap dance for 30 minutes to an hour if it's not going to produce a tornado. It has to get into that organized position. So we'll see how it goes. We'll say this for a few minutes. We'll see how this one, see if this one down south does anything. South of Hollis in this position. I will show you why these storms are struggling just a little bit. So we will. The radar is over here in Frederick, which is still about a county or so away. And if we look at the wind that these for the environment these storms have to work with, if you notice here, the wind direction at the surface is actually kind of southeasterly. So it starts here at about 2,000 feet up on this display. But as we go from the southeasterly wind, it stays mostly southerly with a slight southwesterly component by the time you get up to 5, 6, 7,000 feet, and there's some weakness as well. So the shear actually is pretty anemic as far as directional shear. Speed shear is okay. It's 25 to 30 knots with high Cape values. That's fine. That's not a problem to get storms to rotate and produce tornadoes. But when you don't have a lot of turning, the big swing from right to left, then it gets much harder to get that tornado to produce. So this environment right now isn't the best for tornadoes. Now, because you've got such high K values and the time of the year it is, they're still going to give it the old, college try. And at some point they might. And this one, like I said, it was trending that direction before it got a little influence to its south. If we look at the wind shear here in Oklahoma City, for example, let me see if this one shows up. All right, so for us, it's just slightly better for tornadoes. So see how that wind is more out of the southeast here for the 2,000 foot level. At the 7,000 foot level, still southwesterly. All right, so it goes in this direction, and we're in this direction. So again, if you take your little line here and you do your little angles combined, we're probably about 45 degrees, maybe 50 degrees of turning. For tornadoes, I like to see a minimum of 60. And then anything over 60, 90, 120 is just icing on the cake. It makes that storm much easier to rotate and therefore easier to produce tornadoes. So in other words, shear could be a little bit better, and we'll see if it does improve. Models had forecasted for it to improve as we go for the rest of this afternoon into the evening. Plus a low level jet will kick in, so other things can happen to help that. And the cap was pretty pretty weak today out in this area of the state with the dry lines. That's why those are able to form. We did have a little weakness in the cap for that storm that formed south Oklahoma City, but it quickly ran into an area where it strengthened again as there was a wedge to it to hold on. All right, so let's go and do a little round robin and check out his stream. I think he's on the move again to get repositioned. So yeah, he is. Let's see, this guy also is in his little repositioning stance. So he's probably going to go south and jump on the southern storm to get this little area of rotation that's developed. That's back here on this, what would be a developing hook echo here in the next probably 10 minutes. So big hail within these thunderstorms as of right now. We've had tennis ball size hail reported. So it kind of goes to show you that I think the prediction was at least baseballs today and some of the bigger hailstones. And the analog data was even higher than that. All right, so let's go back up here. So this is around Hollis and Gould have been focused on. All right, so we'll keep track on this southern storm that coming into Hollis and see what it does. Again, the circulation center for this one north of Hollis has kind of disappeared for a little bit. All right, that storm on Highway 9 west of Mangum's not that impressive. Let's see, maybe this guy up here will get his chance to do something. This is around Eric and Sayre. So this storm is all by itself up here. Let's see if this is a newer or older report. 2216, yeah, it's older. So we shall see if we get a new report of any action in this area. I know it's had a history of producing some hail, 1 to 2 inches. Some of these little reports here. There's a 1 inch, there's a 2 inch right there. Hen egg size, another 1, almost 2 there. Golf ball size. So right now these are hail producers for sure, just not much more lightning, and really haven't seen any wind damage or wind reports yet. All right, let me back out of that. Let's see, this guy down here, he's fine. Okay. So right now,
I'm on Highway 5, 1 south of Gould, looking back to the southwest.
all right, he said Highway 1 south of Gould, looking back to the west is what he said. I'm going to turn on my little deal here. All right, now I have Highway 5, so he's probably on Highway 5, and this is Gould, which runs through 62. And then he's looking, like he said, back to the southwest, so probably toward this guy. So let's go see what it looks like. So he's back under a rain-free base in this region, and there's your rain/hail core here on the right. So he's probably just going to park and sit here and wait for it, and this little area right here is what we'd watch for. It would just come right for him, and then it would lower and lower a little bit more, and then eventually we'd get something out of it if it's going to produce a tornado. Otherwise he would have to reposition to another spot later on, but he's in the right place, right time. Okay, so back to the radar here. Matter of fact, they dropped the tornado warning, Weather Service. Either they dropped it or it expired, one or the other, since it has not been producing a tornado, and that prior circulation is long gone. So what we'll do is we'll just storm track in general terms where the storm is heading, and that way for you guys that end up with a future tornado warning, we'll know. So Gould, obviously you would be the first, and then Duke would be second, and then Martha, Altus, and Olustee coming up after that. Let me see if I can get a track on here for you. This is just a severe storm at this point. Hail up to 2.5 inches in diameter, moving to the east at about 21 miles per hour. So much slower movement than what we're accustomed to. We've seen some storms this spring move at around 45 at times. All right, so we'll do this. I'm trying to figure out which I want to track. And there won't probably be any other towns that show up other than what's here on the map. So let me do something here. I can probably track a couple of areas. One, because these are merging right now, so I can just take let's do like a leading edge. And we said 15. So that puts it at Duke at 645. So that's about the time of arrival for you. So if it's 6:47 for you, then it's going to be closer to 7 o'clock or so by the time it gets to Martha, and a little after that for Altus. But that's the path for just the leading edge, which would have some of the hail with it, and then we'll get rid of that and we'll track. Let's just pretend that the tornado is next back out in this area. This would be on the southwest side, and let's just assume it's going to move east with a slight direction to the southeast, really. But if I do that, I'm not going to get any towns in here. Again, Duke would be the only one on the northern fringe. Let's just to get it in here, I'd have to speed it up to 22 miles per hour. So let's just say I did that. That's 7 o'clock. So in other words, you'd get the hail first. About 10 minutes later, then you would get what would be the potential tornado out of that. All right. So those we have so far, and these particular storms can produce tornadoes, for the rest of this evening. All of them can. They're all in an environment that's conducive as we go through the evening. Let's see, this guy up here in northern Oklahoma looks okay. It's another severe thunderstorm. It's moving up toward Camargo and Leedy. Nothing tragic in that one. Let's go to this one down here along I-40 and Eric. Let's see, let's get a path on this one. So Sayre, here at about 10 minutes is when it's going to approach you. It's been a clean storm. In other words, not a whole lot of rainfall with it, just some hail. Otherwise, a clear base underneath it, quite visual, high-based a little bit at times, and nothing tornadic. However, let's see if it does have any rotation of significance on radar. So there is right along I-40 on the east side of town, just a little weak couplet. So it's weak circulation here, literally on 1 mile outside of town. So let's see here. This will go to another radar view. So this is up here in Beckham County. So Beckham County is where this storm is. Looks like the Weather Service issued a tornado warning for it here just now. So let's get the readout on that. Let's see. We're going to have to switch. Close that one. All right. So the tornado warning for central Beckham County in western Oklahoma until 6:30. A severe storm capable of producing a tornado was located near Eric, moving east at 15. Tornado and golf ball size hail. Radar indicated rotation. Let's see. We got Sayre. Then we got Eric and Delhi coming up. Also, we have Interstate 40 between mile markers 7 and 25. Again, nothing on the ground yet. I'm seeing a lot of the live shots, and basically it's just kind of a lowered area, but one to watch. So similar to the last storm. So this is a good reminder that just because a tornado warning is issued does not mean that it is confirmed. In other words, that there's something on the ground. Let's see. This finally has a little higher number. Probability of a tornado is at 3% versus 1%, so it's gone up a hair. That's not much. So we'll sit here and just kind of watch and see if it does get a little intense. How about our guy down southwest for Hollis? That broad circulation has increased with the RFD, so that actually should look more visually impressive than before. And here we go. So here's a look at that. You can almost see that's just a little lowering here. Sometimes these are the leading edge of the rain shaft, so it can be just an area where a possible funnel could form. Otherwise, it can also just be a little scud. So we'll keep watching the little area, but right now, chances in a good spot. That's a great view. Signal looks good too. So he's in Gould, looking out to the west. storm up there, they had it moving. Let's see. East at 21. A little faster than the one down south. And again, this is the track for this, which will pretty much run the future tornado right along and south of I-40. So it would pass south of Sayre, given the trends as of late. Okay, let's go back down here to the south. All right, so this is our Gould storm. So it's got 2-inch size hail estimated by the Doppler radar algorithms. So they have reissued the tornado warning for this. It goes until 6:30, moving east at 17. Let's see, movement. It'll pass south of Gould, of course, and after that, probably also pass south of Duke. So Duke is Highway 34, and Gould is Highway 5. This will pass north of El Dorado and eventually make it toward Olustee. Eventually, it's probably about an hour and a half away, maybe. All right, 'cause it's only 6:09. Let's see here. Okay, let's see what that looks like visually. Nothing yet, other than storm chaser here, storm chaser here, storm chaser here. There's probably others. All right, so technically now we have 2 tornado warned storms. I wouldn't be surprised to see this one get tornado warned here soon eventually as well. It'll take a little longer, but it's getting its act together little by little. And probably most of the chasers are either on this northern one here on 40 or this cluster down south, so this guy in between won't have a lot of eyeballs to it. And then we've got some new development, like I said, to the north from there, but those are behaving at this point. Let's see anything else. Nope, this guy way down here in Texas, north of Abilene. It's got a tornado warning on it. Okay. .82 degrees in that area. So on occasion, these guys will stream also part of the cyclone network. I think this guy Corey, what was this? Let's see. Yeah, Corey Gherkin, he was streaming his feed earlier. Okay. So we're out here in Harmon County, near the town of Gould, waiting for this particular storm to try to produce a tornado. And we also have the other one up here in Beckham County along I-40 east of Eric by a couple of miles, also trying to produce a tornado. Got a new MCD. Let's go read what that is. Let's see which one. All right, discrete supercells capable of producing very large hail over 2 inches in diameter, damaging winds, gusts of over 70, and tornadoes. And it focuses on this broken line of supercells all the way down to San Angelo. So again, heads up for you guys in North Texas, Dallas, etc. These storms will eventually knock on your door, but we may be talking midnight. We'll look at some model data here in a little bit. Let's see here. Discrete supercells moving east off a dry line from southwestern Oklahoma through the Edwards Plateau remain capable of producing large hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes. Several discrete supercells have developed early this evening along the dry line and should maintain their intensity over the next several hours. These thunderstorms have developed in an environment with steep mid-level rates around 7 to 8 degrees Celsius per kilometer. Technically, you want 7 or higher for big hail, so that's big hail worthy.
AAT, new adjustment. I'm going to hit Corvell and then take westbound 152 on this tornado warning storm.
Roger that. That was Russ, so he's going to go check that northern storm. All right, let's see. So where were we? Surface temperatures in the upper 80s and 90s, along with dew points low to mid 70s, are yielding a narrow axis of extreme buoyancy just ahead of the dry line. Further east, a more stable troposphere is noted via satellite imagery behind several outflow boundaries and convective debris. Ambient storm-related felicity from 0 to 1 kilometers can be estimated via the radar VAD and current meso-analysis to be 1 to 200. Corridor of strongest south-southeast surface flow juxtaposed with instability axis. Slow increase in low-level jet through the evening and enhanced backing near the dryland circulation across southwest Oklahoma may lead locally enhanced low-level shear and a more favorable tornadic environment. In addition, very large cape through the hail growth zone through the local sounding observed in Oklahoma City and effective shear will continue to support very large hail. Localized severe damaging wind gusts will also remain possible. In other words, yada yada yada, severe storms are expected through the evening. All right, so there's chances view. So still watching that area there. On radar, let's take a look. Remember, he's in the gold area, and he's probably dropped south so you can get out of any hail core, and he's just looking right at it. So at this time, this is your velocity data on the right. So you have your wind field coming in, and then you have your RFD going out. So this is where you're getting your convergence and what would eventually try to develop into a tornado. Looks like I see a little beaver's tail going in, possibly in one of the shots. So it just means the storm is getting better organized. Let's see if I have a shot from these guys. No. Yeah, so there's Corey's shot here. He's quite a bit far away, so it's hard to see, but there's the rain-free base in his shot for this storm. And there's your hail and rain core there. All right. This one up here still looks about the same. McQueen, this storm, where the tornado portion of it would be, is quite a bit to your southwest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About, then you got to go 6, 7, 8, about 8 miles west-southwest. It's currently running, let's get up one of these little farm market roads out here. By the way, probability of the tornadoes got up to 7% on this one. So kind of running near or along 1650 and or 1660. Circulation center developing is right about 1770. So this is passing at about 1, 2, 2 to 3 miles south of Gould. Does have a TVS, tornado vortex signature. Is this a newer report? Let's see. No. Up here on I-40, this storm I know has had at least an RFD with it, which is a rear flank downdraft. In other words, the air that comes around the backside of the storm in this fashion. And as it does so, it crosses over the interstate, because it looks like it blew a semi, overturned a semi. Semis are easy to overturn. All they have to do is be perpendicular to the wind, and that big semi, say this is the cab bed, there's a wind coming this direction, it just easily just does this, just rolls it. So that apparently happened there. Alright, so we'll go back down here. This one's working on it. I see the little feeder band, looks like in the reflectivity coming up here. Let's take a look here. Yeah, just a little heightened reflectivity. We just lost his signal. Hopefully he'll get it back. So we're in the position now where you can probably get a very small, weak tornado, like these little leading edge eddies that will develop quickly, and they kind of rotate along the leading edge of the RFD, and they rotate back in, and any one of these could do it. Now it's nothing that's strong. It's like a glorified dust devil when they're in this transition, in this period. But they are the ones that would then eventually form a stronger tornado. So this little area here, let's see, on East Road 1640 and 1770. Little convergence here, could be like little eddies, little spin ups. Looks like the probability of a tornado's increased maybe on this last one. Nope, still holding 4%. Let's see, does feed come back up? No, he's back en route to get repositioned. Again, we're focused on a tornado-warned storm that's coming into Jackson County from Harmon County. Let's see here. As far as the structure is concerned, it's getting a little better organized, but it's taking its sweet time to do so. Has not been in a hurry to produce a tornado. We have not had any official touchdowns at this point. We've had some wall clouds, lowerings, to that nature, but nothing officially touching down. Let's see here. And sometimes you use little transient eddies that rotate out of the forward flank and they end up on the back side of the storm. They're usually weak when that happens, and sometimes they'll rotate back in this direction. Most of the time, though, we're focused on, like for example, this reflectivity. You're kind of looking for the hook to develop back here. Okay, let's see what this one looks like. Still right along I-40. Location of this one, let's see, Bank 14 or Bank T. Yeah, Bank 14, Bank R. That's west of Bank 15, and
stream's up, but I'm going to be out of the loop for a minute. I got to go around. I'm on 62 heading east and drop down in front of these things, so those roads are all going to be trash because that precip falling out front.
Sounds good. So if you're watching in Oklahoma City, are these storms going to get here? The answer is yeah, eventually. It's going to take at least 3 hours. That's if they don't pick up the pace. 1, 2, 3, yeah. It's at 6:30, so 9:30, 10 o'clock. All right, so the Beckham storm up here, the tornado warning on that, they're going to let that expire because it hasn't produced anything. So here's probably a little eddy that rotated back in right here. It had a actual radar indication there just for a split second right there. See how it go from a circle to a triangle, but then it went gone again. A little transient. It's almost like having, like I said, a glorified dust devil or something, just a spinning vortex, sometimes visible, sometimes not, that gets caught up on the leading edge of this and gets pulled in the updraft and can produce a tornado if it's strong enough in the right place, right time. Okay. This one had a 66 mile per hour wind gust from the Oklahoma Mesonet. Now look at this. Probability of a tornado, let me show you this, has the last scan, that was 4% to 11% to now 24%. So there's our jump. There's our jump by the teens, right? So that means that the tornado threat is increasing. So the storm and the environment that it's in is now becoming more favorable. So we'll look for the next scan, and does it hold around a 24% probability, or does it jump up into the 30s? And then if we go from the 30s, it jump into the 40s. And each event is different, so these numbers, you never know what the magic number is. All you know is what the trend is. Trend is up or down, and then how quickly is that trend going up or down. Okay, so let's see. So here's his stream. He's up. He's repositioning. Let me go see if I get some data. See if these guys are up. Nope. Let's see if these guys are up. They are. Okay. So this is radar coverage from the Gould storm. This is great. Oh man, I'm loving this. All right, so this is a research radar from OU. It's the RADX poll. And these research radars, of course, go around during the severe storm season when they get funding to do research on tornadoes. And right place, right time. And it looks like they're running their operation. This update was just about 3 minutes ago. But we're going to be able to focus on this area of the hook and have some really good data. In theory. In theory, we'll see. As long as they keep it running and the data keeps coming through. But that's actually really helpful for me. So it looks like they're in a standard elevation scan to get multiple levels. I haven't had a chance to use this one yet when they're live. It's a new interface they have. So we'll see how this works. Okay, so while we were doing this, I came over here to do two things. One was for the latest HER model to see how these storms are going to progress. And it vaporizes these things that, first off, it doesn't even know there's storms out here, and it's got these out here. So this thing's already out to lunch. This is completely worthless to me. Did the one prior to that be just as bad? Yeah, at least it had these storms, and then it vaporized them by 9 o'clock. Okay, well, that's not worth anything to me, so let's go to the warn-on forecast. Okay, so here are these storms out here in western Oklahoma, and would you look at that? They also vaporize these guys. It's 7 from now to 7 o'clock. Let's take a look at the other members. They keep that cluster in southwest Oklahoma going, and they just eliminate the ones up north. Okay, so let's go to 740. Same idea. All right, so according to the warn-on forecast, this cluster in southwest Oklahoma is going to be the only game in town here in the next, after about the next 30 minutes. Let's go to probability of a tornado, 25-30%, and then drops off to 10 and 5, and almost non-existent as it goes through Lawton. All right, interesting. Where's my satellite? Okay. So this line in this path is basically kind of running in a east-southeast fashion. So assuming this path stays on track, it would pass in between Duke and East Duke and Creta. All right, it does have a little indicator where the radar has picked up on a little circulation center. Probability of a tornado, did it go up? It went back down. Went from 24 to 19%. Oh, look at that. See how this thing just did this right here with the big reflectivity ball right in the middle? They usually indicate you have a tornado when something like that happens rather quickly. We're going to see what happens on this next scan. Let's see, is his stream still up? Let's go find it. Nope. All right. All right, so wait for him to get live again. Let's see, is he up? Nope. What about you? Jeff's not out today. It's unusual. Of course, Reed's out. I don't know where they're at, though. Somewhere. Let's see. Corey was out earlier as well. Good, he's back out again. All right. All right, so I don't know where Corey is at. He's somewhere, one of those storms. Let's see if Jeremy's going. Nope. Okay. And wait for Chance to get his back up again. So right now Corey's the one that's got his up. Okay. In the meantime, Big hail detected, 3 inches in diameter. Again, a little wind, up close to 70 miles per hour. And we have a nice, well-defined hook echo at this point with a little bit of an enhanced reflectivity ball right here. In the velocity data, look up close, however. Let's see, nothing that's indicating anything ground level at this time. Alright, other than getting it back to get a little bit better, nothing else has changed. Probability of tornadoes went back up to 30%, so it's jumped up a whole category. So the location that this would be, should it start to come down from the sky, it's over the intersection of 1820 and what are we, 16, south of 1640. And which one's this one? 1660. So 1650 and 1820 is the intersection of this wall cloud / lowering area. Probability is now down to 28%, so drop just a hair. Oh, come on, work with me. What's the movement? East at 15. Looks a little southeast. Alright, so we'll track the near the circulation center is going to be, in theory. Go. This is not working for me. What is your problem? Why you gotta be that way? Why can't you just do what I told you to do? Draw me a line. Alright, let's clear this. There, let's try this again. Nope. Okay. I see how it is. I'll just close you. Alright. We're going to have to just restart that. Weird, man. Never know. Computers. Alright. These other ones here real quick. That's Sayre. A little bit of hail, especially on the south side of town. Otherwise, it's just a severe storm. And south of there, same idea to read. So really the only storm in here is what the Warn On forecast had decided would be. This guy here coming in to Jackson County from Harmon County. So it looks like then, the way this is going, unless something else develops, Oklahoma City won't see anything at all out of this activity. And then we're going to focus on this stuff here, just basically moving toward Lawton, and then seeing if it still holds together after that. You have two other tornado warned storms. This one out here in north of Abilene. I wonder what that one looks like. Take a quick peek. So Abilene, this is around Anson and Funston, and it's no different than what we got in Oklahoma, just struggling to produce a tornado. All right, and we have the other one way down here. Let's see what this one looks like. Now this one actually has a better definition, a better hook to it, and at least the structure is there for the velocity data. Not quite strong, not quite where it needs to be, but it still looks a little bit better than what we got going in Oklahoma for the time being. So there's our 3 triadic thunderstorms. All right, so that may be it for the whole evening, and then just kind of watch how those try to hang in there. All right, so our hook echo. We have looks like a little eddy that rotated on the back end and is right here. Let's see if this is. Yeah, I don't believe it touched down or anything, but that's where maybe there's a little funnel or something there. And you probably won't be able to see it. It's probably obscured. It won't last long anyway. All right. Let me get my other radar back up. Okay, probability of a tornado is at 35%. Still has yet to touch down or produce anything. Let's do an update on this track, east at 15. See, there's my little guy. That's what I was trying to do this whole time. And it was being a turd. Alright, so Altus Day, 7:36 is when this area of the tornado would be getting into your backyard. Olusty. So this is again our only tornado warned storm. This is for a supercell around the Duke area. You're gonna get the hail for Duke. This is now moved out of the Gould area, not before it produced some golf ball size hail. Let's see how the hail looks aloft. Oh, it looks like yeah, getting closer. And it lost it. Alright, let's see what this looks like aloft. And I'm going to see if Chance is back up. No. And then he's off. And then Russ, let's see if he's back up. Nope. All right, so the storm is up around 60,000 feet. Actually, a little bit higher than that, 65. That's a big storm. It's got decent updrafts in it. It's got some decent hail aloft. This little pink stuff here is golf ball size or slightly larger. Let's see here. Yep. Okay. For the rotation, nothing overly impressive for the full column height. Mid-level stuff that does not extend vertically.
Inflow really kicking now.
Okay. So Chance says the inflow is starting to kick in. Let's see. So this product was made at, here we go, 36 after, so about 8 minutes ago. So between those two, wasn't a lot of change. Okay. What's cool about these 3Ds for products like this, they're neat 'cause you can see what the storm looks like, but it's actually made for post-analysis, not real time. So it's always delayed. And it's delayed because it's the last thing that gets made, and it's after all the other data comes in and all the data is processed. So it's a cool feature, but time-wise, that's almost 10 minutes old, right? A lot can happen in a storm in 10 minutes. But it's still good for me because I can just see how the storm looks structure-wise, how it's evolved, if there's still hail cores aloft, all that kind of stuff. Oh, let's go back to the other. I forgot all about the other radar. Let's go back over here. By the way, you guys up? No. Okay. Let's see. They probably had to move. Yeah, 21 minutes ago. Ah, it's too bad. So I'm assuming that they decided to move the truck and maybe drive to Altus, or maybe try to go somewhere near here in anticipation of this track doing this. We'll see. How did I do that? Did you see that? That was impressive. I twisted the whole thing and don't even know how I did that. Huh. I wonder what I did. Well, whatever, can't do it now. Let's refresh. There we go. Alright, we'll come back to that one. Anyway, it's a research radar out here in southwest Oklahoma on Doppler on wheels. Okay, so the location, or where this guy is at, is right on the county line. And I believe it's over in an area that's got nothing there. Yep. Trees. So if it would touch down, it'd be a perfect spot for it. Middle of nowhere. The closest road it'll be coming up towards, if it's even labeled. Let's go to a main intersection. East Road 1870. And it'll be 1670. Oh, 1690. So 1690 and 1870, that intersection, in about 5 minutes. Alright, probability of a tornado is at 35%, so kind of hanging. Hasn't really ramped up or done anything in a while. Storms up there are falling apart, like that models had suggested. So looks like this one's going to be the one. So hook echo, reflectivity product on the left, velocity product on the right. Velocity we use is for winds, for track and convergence and downdrafts and all that jazz. Let's see if Chance got back up. Not yet. Okay. Lusty at 7:37 for your time of arrival of this wall cloud slash mesocyclone slash potential tornado. Let's see how the shear profile is doing down there in southwest Oklahoma. Still like it was when we left it. The winds have recovered in this zone. However, they're pretty linear. There's not a lot of turning with height. So, the directional shear is absent. Therefore, storm struggles to produce a tornado. It's the little things that matter. You gotta focus on the little things. probability is at 25 or 35%. Let's see here. Is there a chaser anywhere near here with a camera? Get off of there. Let's see if this guy, he had one earlier.
Hey, T. I'm gonna. This storm up near Sayre, it seems to. It's cycling, but it's kind of like I wonder if it's getting inflow cut off. I'm gonna hit this storm that looks to be dominant just west of Willow. I'm heading towards Sentinel on State Route 44 southbound.
Hey, just to let you know, the warn on forecast show that all the storms will fall apart here soon, and the only one standing will be the one that eventually gets into the Lawton area. Alright, so this Corey guy, he just had a big inflow of wind in the dust field right in front of him. So, feeding into the storm. So you can see the little, I wish I could make this bigger. But I can't. So he's this little guy right here, and he's looking in.
Roger that. I'll make it a Sentinel and I'll hold and observe. Nothing happens, I'll head on home.
So he's looking at the hook echo from this position. And the dust getting kicked up is the inflow right here from the storm going in to the mesocyclone, into the hook. So when you get the wind that picks up, then you get the dust picks up. And that's a change from what it was before. Indicates that the storm is now picking up a better inflow, which typically is a precursor to develop a tornado. So anytime you hear a storm station say the wind's really picked up here on the inflow, well, that's usually because then the storm is now getting to a position to where it may tornado soon. Anyways, it's a really good view. It's very helpful. So you can see how the wind here is blowing off the road. See all that? Alright, so let's go back over here. The hook echo is a little better defined, like that one we saw way down there in South Texas. Location is, I think, finally now at that intersection I talked about before. East 1870 and 1680. Knocking on the door. Let's see. Our shear up here in Oklahoma City. Let's see here. Yeah, better turning. So, the Weather Service has posted the bad wind profile from Frederick Radar, which is what I showed you earlier. Shows 0 to 1 kilometer shear of 10 knots, which is hindering tornado development. It also shows a lack of turning with height significantly. But we shall see. It may overcome. It's just now getting to 7 o'clock, and if you recall, I tell you there's a sweet spot between 7 and 9, where if a severe storm, a supercell, is already in this configuration.
Stream is back up. Meso coming into shot.
If it's in this configuration, where you have your supercell structure outline, your hook echo, etc., etc., And then it goes into that 7 or 9 o'clock hour where the low level jet kicks in. Shear is just a little bit better enhanced. Then a lot of times you get that sweet spot where you get your tornado. And of course the cap builds in during that time slowly as well. So eventually it will weaken it, especially after 9 o'clock. And then that kind of eliminates the threat and then eventually dies. All right, so he said his stream is back up. So let's go take a look. So a little lowering-ish. It's really the contrast isn't all that great, so it's kind of hard to see. That's a great shot. Contrast makes it a little hard to see underneath, though. This is Chance Cold Iron. So you can follow him, by the way. He's on Twisting Fury on Facebook, so you can always go to his Facebook page. When he does get up there and go chase, he tries to chase a lot during the springtime. You can follow his page. And Russ was out there as well. He went for that northern storm, and it fell apart on him, so he hasn't been back up on the stream. He's just waiting to see if there's anything worth streaming over. And then Corey was out earlier. I don't know where he ended up going. I never know the read. There you go. He's got a good view here.
Hopefully that'll change in just a minute. We got a lot of dust and it is hazy.
Yeah. Everybody's on the same storm because that's the only storm to be on.
The main road is closed over here too, so I got one shot at this before I have to go back around.
Okay, so we're sitting here looking at this little spot and waiting to see if it's going to do something. So Creta is in the direct path, see this little yellow line, of the potential developing tornado. So make sure you stay in your shelters. Nothing again sighted at this point. Could change, but right now you were the first major community. And then Olustee be after that. It's all in Jackson County. And then you'll end up with Elmer and Tipton, Burt, Frederick, all that. So Altus, unless something dramatically changes on the path, the only thing you're going to get out of it is the northern fringe of the hail core, which will kind of skirt you. Okay, let me go upstairs. Anything different? A little bit. Probability of a tornado holding at 24%. Highest I've seen it was 30. That wasn't enough to do it. So it means 24 is not enough to do it. See this dust blowing around in his shot too? So he says it makes it really hazy. So it's hard to see under the base as a result. Let's see, this guy, he's still holding his position. And this guy just decided to drive right into it apparently. This dude is like 1 mile as the crow flies to what would be the circulation part of it. I guess he wants to reach out and touch it. But still good inflow in the storm. And honestly, the velocity data on this outlook looks a little bit better organized, a little stronger on the RFD side of things. Let's see, wind speeds, that's around 40. So Let's see if I can get this one here. Okay, see all these little green dots? Those are all storm chasers. Ton of storm chasers. Like I said, it's the only storm anywhere around. And this dude's the closest of all of them. Maybe this will tell me different road. Still 1680, 1870, 1680. These little roads here aren't even labeled. Probably private property roads. Okay. Let's go back to chances. Oh, he's already turned his camera. He's probably having to leave. He said he didn't have long left. He's going to have to reposition. Alright, so we do have a little triangle in that little area where I said it was a little better convergence. So, getting there. This is our rotation product. We finally got out of the green and into the gold. Another sign that it's improving if you are a storm chaser and you want to get a tornado. Okay, just these other ones up here, honestly, did just disappear. They vaporized. This one here will be soon too, Willow and Brinkman. That's it. This storm will have the entire environment to itself. And if it can become tornadic, it can become tornadic for a while once it gets there. Let's see, the probability has dropped to 18%, ironically, which is funny considering, because visually, radar-wise, it looks better. It looks trending more tornadic. Both the hook echo structure here, better aligned properly. Your couplet here, there's your broad circulation. Now your tightening in this area is better. So honestly, this is the best I've seen this thing look since we've been tracking it. Rotation product's increasing. So everything tells me we're going tornado here soon. Alright, Weather Service just put out an update on where this track is, so where I mentioned it, which, like we said, was a good place for it, right? Look what it's over. See? Nothing. That's what I'm saying. These roads I don't even think even real roads out here. But anyway, it does finally get to a real road, 1870 here soon. Let's see, what time is that? 14 after. So it's basically kind of stopped for a little bit. It was moving and then just kind of anchored down to reorganize, and that's another sign that something's about to change. Okay. Probability is at 35% again. So overall, this is the broad mesocyclone, and then what you're looking for is where this green and this red meet, you're looking for gate to gates that come together. So in other words, each one of these little pixels right here, that's a gate. Okay, you can also call it a pixel, but in radar meteorology is called a gate. And so you look for gate to gate, and gate to gate meaning the colors. So for example, this is bright green here, and let's say this would be bright green. All right, now this is red and this is red, and let's say both of these are bright red compared to the rest of these. All these are the colors. Say they're all more muted. That means these would be gate to gate, and that is when you get your strong indication of a tornado. Downdraft gust potential still up around 70 miles an hour for damaging winds. And what about hail size? Up to 2 inches in diameter. All right, see that? Now we have our gate to gate. Here, 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 and here. So we have a tornado here. All right, didn't take but a minute, but it did happen. So, and now our tornado product now hit it in the red. So we finally have an official confirmation of a tornado touchdown, and it's still over the same area we talked about before, which is just trees right now, open land, no one in the immediate path. So it may sit out here and spin for a while, and then may start to move. But after watching this for the last hour and a half, we finally have our first official touchdown. We finally do have a tornado touchdown chance. As usual, they're multi-vortex. All right, so right now, no one has to take cover because it's not over anyone, which is a good thing. Right now, it's just spinning out in the field. Now, once it gets back to moving again, we'll have to see if it affects anyone. But currently, just sitting in the same spot, spinning around. The algorithms for probably of a tornado has dropped to 17%. Well, these algorithms are trash. They were not very good guidance at all with this. Interesting. They're experimental, so it's just curious. I've been using them just to try to gauge how well they do, and sometimes they do okay, and today they didn't do too well. That's why I was saying visually on this radar they looked way better than the algorithms are telling me. So it's a good thing I didn't trust the algorithms. All right, so basically we have an ongoing tornado into a field with nothing but just brush, no populated areas. It's quite strong on the radar data. This is the inbound wind. That's 88. Let me go switch over to this other radar. Let's do this. Let's see, that's 63. Okay, let's do this one as well. Probably. Okay, so this is close to 90 miles per hour inbound and 40 outbound. For storm relative, 60 and still close to 90. So that's 150 miles per hour of shear. Tornado vortex signature on the radar. And again, the intersection is coming up (1870) road in 1690. So it's just west of that intersection. So this is about, where are we at? From Duke, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 miles to your southwest. For El Dorado, you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 miles to your north. So the motion almost stationary. They have it east at 7 from the Weather Service. It continues to get stronger in the data.
Calling it a day, 18. Updrafts aren't sustaining themselves, so no point in hanging around. Look forward to Saturday.
It's already a wedge tornado. Yeah, it went into it was a big wedge, now it's a stovepipe. Do you have my stream, AT? Stovepipe.
Yeah, it's pretty decent size, strong on radar. Still waiting for a live signal. Thanks, Russ. Appreciate it.
Just to recap it, last night we were on 4 tornado warned storm. Good morning, AT. Just to recap
Okay,
it, last
get off
night.
of there. I might shut you up.
Good morning, AT.
Seriously, delete
Just
all
to recap it,
messages.
last
Boom.
night we were on 4
There.
tornado warned storms.
Okay, stop.
And
What is this nonsense?
Detroit, I think
Oh, killing me. Kill. Jeez. I got this app that they talk on. Apparently, it just wants to replay every message under the sun. I'm like, I ain't got time for that. Okay. Good. All right, so he can't get his live in because he's in bad cell phone reception. But regardless, we still know the deal. Probability of a tornado went up to 35%. Let's see. The movement still, I said, basically stationary. It says east at 5. Damaging tornado. The storm itself is impacting Duke and McQueen. The tornado right now, like we mentioned earlier, is kind of open over a field. Inbound winds up around 80 and outbound 70. So still up around about 150 miles per hour of shear. Still at that same intersection, 1690 and 1870. Okay, let's see here. Let's do this. There. Okay. So the tornado product has gone to pink. So I think it only goes to white is the last step.
AT, it should be live.
Now, if we go back from here to here to here, it did have at least enough lift to pick up some of that shrubbery on the ground to loft it up to get the tornado debris signature to get triggered. All right, he thinks he's back up. Let's see. Okay, good, he is. I think, yeah. All right.
I don't got but 2 minutes. It's 150 yards out in front of me on the ground. Multi-vortex wedge.
Okay, so he's got a multi-vortex wedge, as he calls it. It's a storm chaser term for a very wide tornado. That's very low to the ground, basically. All right, so it's still sitting out here at this intersection. Let me go see what may be under it. Again, it's just a bunch of trees. There's no significant structures on the satellite, so when this was made, looks like there's some kind of like a cow barn or for hay or something on one of the shots I see. I mean, it's not like a homestead, so I don't know what it is. Storage for something that it's impacting. Huh? Okay. All right. Let's see. All right, so here's Corey's feed. That's a good shot. So you can see the bowl. So this is the tornado here. And it would have little swirls underneath it. And it looks like it's kind of changes configuration a little bit. It's not as aggressive as it was before, at least on his shot. But he may not be close enough to see that. But anyway, that's where your tornado is located in his view. It's still ongoing, though. All right, so there you can see now better. The condensation funnel's coming down. So that's what they call multi-vortex. See how these little vortexes dance around? So that's called multi-vortex. Looks like a octopus almost, little arms going around. And if you notice, that bowl's been on the left side of the screen this whole time, so it's not really moving a whole lot. They reposition it. This can be a little satellite. Go back. He may be getting out of there or seeing what's behind him. Got all these storm chasers lined up. All right, so he's going to reposition. This is Corey Ecton. So he's on YouTube as Nature Untamed. So you can follow him there. All right, so he's going to get repositioned. While he's doing that, let me go back over here to radar. Still in that same intersection, has not moved. Let's see. Well, actually did just a hair. Just got that update. Strength-wise, wind speeds are still the same. About 80, 90 inbound and about 80 outbound. They've gone up just a little bit then. About 170 miles per hour instead of 150. So significant tornado for sure. And they have a nice hook echo appendage to it. Completely different configuration than it had been this whole time. Credit needs to be in their shelters, obviously, for this. Lowest floor, away from all outside walls and windows. probability of a tornado on this algorithms went up to 37%. So today it looks like a lower number in the 30s is all those algorithms are going to do today, which is interesting because some days we've seen them up around 70 or 80. Looks like wind speed just came up quite a bit more. This last scan really increased. It's 110 miles per hour, and there's 100. So now you're looking at 200 plus 210 miles per hour of shear. So now the strength of the tornado is getting stronger. So again, this is inbound wind toward the radar. This is outbound wind away from the radar. So this is our gate-to-gate couplet area, and this is the mesocyclone itself, the whole section. And let's see, we're looking at 2,500 feet. And you can track the tornado really up to about 5,000 feet comfortably on top of the radar. Now, if they're obviously much stronger and more vertical, then you can get higher than that. Let's see here. So again, a well-defined hook, well-defined couplet. So a very strong tornado. Let's see. Anytime you get one of these strong tornadoes, you really want them over this non-inhabited land. Up to 142 miles per hour and 162. Okay, let me do something here. All right, so there's your rotation column. Remember earlier, we didn't have it solidified very well. So this whole thing right here is your tornado. So this is a very strong tornado. Goes up to around 40,000 feet. And as far as the debris goes, let's see if the debris signature is going to be up around 20,000 feet, looks like. Just from the shrubs and the little trees and stuff that it keeps picking up. So rotational velocity data of, let's see, we had about 90 knots, and that was up to, we saw the debris well up into the 15,000 plus feet range. So we're probably talking about a we're probably talking about an EF4 tornado, honestly, because we're kind of in this category here. So we're probably on that high-end EF3, low-end EF4, just as far as the estimated guidance on the strength of a tornado. I can look at it here as well. So it's where this pink right here overlaps, and we're basically kind of in this little section here. So the red is the 3, pink is the 4. So we're kind of on the cusp of both. So for the strength of the tornado, that's quite significant. Actually, it's probably the strongest Doppler radar velocity data that I've seen here in Oklahoma. 125 outbound, 115, 20 inbound. That's very significant. Let's see, top 7,000 feet. So we're definitely going to have a very strong to violent tornado out here in southwest Oklahoma. Again, let's take a look underneath. Now, you guys in credit need to be in your shelters. It's going to pass, looks like, just north of you. This little situation here. Still over trees, bushes, dirt, field. Thank goodness. Man, thank goodness. North of here, there is a little barn structure. Does not look like a farmhouse, though. That might be a farmhouse there, but it's well north of it, as long as it doesn't shift paths. So there's not many people out here in this area. So there's the white color, which is the last color it goes on the rotation product. Big blue, there's your debris signature. If I back that up, you can see how it's developed. Went from nothing there, okay, and then here, 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 and here. So you can track the blue as that debris gets picked up and expands and is moved along. So let me look at that one more time. We'll see if I got the data for that though. Yeah.
Hey, Tuttle, I sent you a video on Messenger. You might be able to pull that up. The tornado is still on the ground. It's a large cone tornado at the moment.
Okay.
Sorry, that's the left side. This is still a wedge tornado. The helical vortices.
Okay. So a list you need to be in your shelters for this particular tornado warned storm. It's coming up on Highway 34 and Highway 5. So if you live in that intersection of 34 and 5, coming up along 1710, that tornado will be moving into that region as we speak. So make sure if you are anywhere in that area, be in your shelters. Tornado is kind of moving more on an eastward fashion and is actually starting to move now a little bit more versus just sitting still. So obviously if anything is hit by this very strong tornado, it would be quite devastating. The wind speeds on 125 and 113. So that's 240 miles per hour of shear involved. All right, let's see. Again, this is the only storm in Oklahoma, the only storm around, and it has an environment all to itself. So it's probably not going to weaken anytime soon as a result. Let me see if I can pull up his video. All right, so this is the short video that he sent me earlier. Didn't have any cell service for his stream at the time, so he was down the road from it. So this is the wedge, and you really can't see because visibility is bad, but this is where it would be pulling in all of its little fingers that we saw in that other video earlier from Corey. Okay, it's back here. So let's do a storm track again. So Alusty is next, 749. But it's been picking up speed, honestly, at the last few frames. So I would speed this up a little bit. So arrival can be more likely in 10 minutes. Like I said, 7:27. Yeah, I'd say 10 minutes sooner than that. So don't sit there and wait for it for that point. You got plenty of time to be in your shelters for this anyways, so just go ahead and make those arrangements. I can tell you that the strength here seems to be a little different than what it was before. It's come down in intensity, so maybe we're onto a new transition. Let me switch this window to 2. All right, about 104 and 70. Yeah, speeds have come down quite dramatically in the last couple of radar scans. So hopefully weakening to the point where it'll soon fall apart. Still up there though, still about close to 200 miles per hour on the rotation. Okay, let's see, new data here, back up to 126 and 82, so still 200 for the rotational velocity on this. So again, we're still probably talking about a high-end EF3, low-end EF4 tornado. Let me check over the location. Still over an open field. Now we'll say this, there are a couple of farmhouses now in its path. One here on 1930. That might be another one there. This is just north of 1690. So hopefully if those folks are home, that they have a good shelter to be into. Let's see, no one else for another couple of miles from there that I can see. So hopefully they're okay and they're safe, but very strong tornado right now, right across the street from them. So Elmer, be in your shelters. Olustee, be in yours. Altus, unless a dramatic change happens in the path, it should be to your south. But I'm sure you already have sirens going off, and because the track of the polygon does include the southwest part of the city. So the tornado warning remains in effect until 8 o'clock for central Jackson and southeastern Harmon counties. A confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado located 7 miles northeast of El Dorado, moving east at 20. So they picked up the speed now from nearly stationary to 20 miles per hour. So Olustee and Duke, you're on the northern end where you're getting the hail and stuff, not the tornadic part, but just in case this thing were to do some type of weird, which honestly I don't think it's possible to do, but let's just be in your shelters anyway, and just until this part of it moves far enough past you. So you've got to be in shelter though if you're in Jackson County, in and around the town of Olustee. As of now, the track is taking it a little more to your north. East Road 1690 and 1940 with an eastward movement. That would put it on the 1 mile outside of town if it stays on that same path, and it may not do so. All right, so this path may do something like this. The old path, just so you know, is going right through the town. So it's a little jog. We'll see if it's permanent. Point being is we need to take shelter regardless. Let's see here. Still looking at 90 and 94, so still looking at some pretty...
Big stovepipe.
All right, so stovepipe is another way to describe the tornado, from multi-vortex to stovepipe. The difference is multi-vortex, wedge, it's very low to the ground. It just looks like just a big mush of clouds. You get little dancing vortices all around it. Stovepipe is very clean. It's narrow, very photogenic for the contrast, for lighting. So that's the difference between the two. Okay, so it has jotted to the north on the last scan, looks like. Instead of moving southeast and then east, it is now jotted back to the north of here, so now maybe more of a northeastward track. And that's what these things can do. Let's see here, 1940 and 1680. So now we have a new path. Well, again, whether or not it holds, we'll see. But that would take, instead of moving this direction, to now moving this direction. So again, this would be passing now, instead of 1 mile north of Lusty, now maybe about 3 miles along the highway. Okay, so still be in your shelters though if you're in Duke, just in case you get some kind of weird satellite tornado where this thing just wraps up like this and then comes back at you and dies. We've seen some crazy things this year with tornadoes moving in erratic directions. So Creta, that storm is north of you, but stay in your shelters. You're on the RFD section right here, which is the downdraft damaging winds. And sometimes you get a satellite tornado on the leading edge of that. So just be in your shelters regardless. The storm is still active and still just to your north, about 1, 2, 3 miles to your northeast. That's where the tornado is located. Alright, so wind speeds here have come back up again on the outbound of 119, inbound 106. So still hanging around 200 miles per hour. Let's see if I get any live shots here. See if Corey has anything. So Reed's got it here. So there's his view. There's a close-up view there. So, tornado still in progress. So, this is how things have changed. Remember that storm was heading in a southeastward fashion where Altus would get just the hail core, right? Well, if you've noticed, we went from doing that to doing this, a little curlicue, and now up northeast we go. Now, will it stay on that track? Probably not, but regardless, it is now currently moving that direction. So Altus, remember I mentioned how you're on the edge of the polygon right here? So you're probably getting sirens sounding from the southwestern part of town. So this storm has some wiggle room with it, so just stay in your shelters and be prepared just in case it does start to make its way more to a northeastward fashion. That would go against the flow and the way it's supposed to move, but you never know, so just be in your shelters until it's still several miles away. We're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 miles to your west-southwest. So the Weather Service will cover your whole city in a tornado warning as a result. Okay, let's see here. Now it's starting to lose the hook and it's starting to wrap up in on itself. Now what that usually means is that this is going to start to die. That's usually what it means. It may take a few more scans, but once it gets to this configuration, it usually doesn't last much longer. So we're about to find out. Again, location is over some open fields, some trees, shrubs, ponds. That's it. It actually went north of those farmhouses that we talked about. It was across the street, so maybe they're okay. That's been the only place I could see that actually had any dwellings so far. And this tornado's been on the ground for over 30 minutes. So if you had a large tornado that we have, very strong, violent, You know, we're estimating EF3 at least wind speeds based off of radar, and it not to hit anyone, man, talking about a godsend. That's I mean, great news. So let's keep that going, and then maybe it'll die out here, and then we won't have to deal with it anymore, and that's it. All right, so Highway 62 is the next main thoroughfare here. So this thing will be crossing over. If it makes it, it'll be up to 62 and 1960 roughly. Let me see if there's any houses in that estimated path, and not until you get to about a mile south of 62. Okay, so we've got a couple of miles to go to let this thing hopefully weaken quite considerably before it has another farmhouse in its path. Let's see here. So this is our only tornado warned storm out here in the state. And we're watching this little area right here, which is our tornado. And inbound winds to the radar is 105, outbound 106. So still up around 200 miles per hour. At the peak, we saw it about 250 at the peak. That's the rotational velocity. Okay. Here's Highway 62, here's Highway 5, and here's 1960. So if this thing continues to do this, then there's some farmhouses here and here at this intersection. So they'll be in the immediate path if this thing holds together. The debris signature, still here. This is blue area right here. So again, that indicates that it's still on the ground at this point in time, and still lifting up whatever it can come across, which has been trees and bushes and stuff, so dirt. But we've lost our hook echo. So in other words, the bottom end of the storm that had the hook that was out here has since moved north and embedded itself and wrapped up. And usually when this happens, it starts to weaken. So we'll see what happens the next couple of scans. The new tornado warning, which we'll use this path here. Altus coming up here in about 10-15 minutes, and then you have Hedrick after that, just from the storm itself. It's going to have to go through a complete reconfiguration, though, as far as what it's going to be able to do. So it may not even have a tornado by the time it gets to Altus, and then even after that. We'll see. We'll have to recycle. Let's see. Moving, though, storm itself is to the east, but the tornado moved lately to the northeast. Speed of about 24 miles per hour. It's also still some large hail. Again, this is out here in southwest Oklahoma. Only storm out there right now. Nothing else across the state of any consequence. And our little algorithms we've been looking at to predict tornado development peaked into the 30s. 35% was as high as it went. Okay. All right, this tornado has been on the ground for 38 minutes. That is a long track tornado. All right, so again, we do have two farmhouses right here at this intersection, just north of 1655 to Highway 62. Hopefully those folks, if they're home, are in their shelters. Let's go over here. So this is that intersection I mentioned. And then up here is 1 and 2. And the tornado's on this side of the road going in this direction. And this is 62 and 1960, so just south. Then you have some other homes on the north side of that intersection as well. Quite a bit more, actually. So you guys need to be in your shelters. Let's see, wind speed has come down. There's 120 on the outbound, but only 72 on the inbound. It's not big change, but it's a little change. Still has a debris signature. All right, that's good news too. The debris signature, let's see, this goes back to 10 minutes ago. The debris signature is only down here less than 5,000 feet. So in other words, either that indicates one of two things. One, there wasn't much for it to pick up to loft, to higher elevations, higher altitudes, or it has weakened in strength and intensity to actually bring anything higher than that. So those are the two options when you see the debris signature at a much lower altitude versus before. Here's a rotational column. So this is the actual tornado column. Still up around 30,000 feet. I think at one point, didn't we have 40,000? Yeah, at one point we had 40,000 when it was much stronger. Oh, that new scan, look here. Okay, from 30,000 feet, now look, down to 10,000 feet, which matches the fact that we couldn't get that debris signature up much higher. And it just came up 7 minutes ago. All right, so huge change. All right, so that means it is weakening considerably compared to what it was before. So good news. As expected, and it's a slow process, but unfortunately it's coming right on those two homes, home right here and the home right here, and this is where it is. So it is now coming up to those homes as we speak. So wind speeds in this, see 75 inbound and 100 outbound. And if you live north of 62, this what's left of the tornado will still be much weaker than it was before, but it'll still be significant. So make sure you're in your shelters, lowest floor, away from all outside walls and windows. Storm shelter if you have it. You've got time, run it, do it now. Next line and path, let's see here. We've got 1630 and 1970 are the crossroads. We've got the next intersection that we would be focused on. All right. So Victory, just west of Victory, about a mile. 1970 and 1630 is where this tornado is going to be next for the intersection. Now the last scans it sat here, didn't move much. honestly, it didn't move at all. It stopped. It's sitting here in this field, the same spot, just southwest of this home by about a quarter of a mile. Debris signature is still there, but it's now wafted out in this direction, like so. There's no heavy core in the middle, darker blues, which tells me that this is mainly just fallout that's getting expanded. Oh, new scan came in, look, even less. So it's done. It's falling apart dramatically. Very little left of a debris signature. Still there, but the intensity-wise of the tornado, the strength has come down quite a bit just based off of that signal. Still there though, and we'll see what happens the next scan or two. Again, we're in Jackson County. So this is east of Duke and west of Altus, right in the halfway in between almost. Coming up right on 62, and we're looking at 1960. So it's now jotted north a little bit. So it's actually missed the farmhouse right here and missed the farmhouse here as far as direct hits go. See, you can zoom in. So it's over this area here, over this pond, and the farmhouse is right here, and then the other one was down here. So not a direct hit for either one. So hope that was helpful. Alright, so it's pretty much stalled in this square mile area, but just moving north. So that's good for you guys in Altus. It did not come into your city. But you can stay in your shelters though until it completely dies. And we could also have another tornado develop still. The storm's not done completely. So it's still in an environment that is conducive, so we'll have to wait for something that may regenerate. But for right now, this existing one is right on Highway 62. It's right on top of the highway. Okay, so this scan has it just on the north side of the highway. So east of 1960 and north of 62 by about a quarter of a mile. So watch how this animates. So basically it starts like this, and then it comes up like so. Still have an embedded hook. Still have an eye wall. So we still have a tornado, it's just smaller and weaker, but it's still there, and it's still significant. Okay. All right, has weakened significantly in that last scan. Good. All right, so basically we have still a tornado, but a very weaker, smaller tornado. This is coming in on the west side of Victory, about a mile. That's where this is located. It's interesting. I see the TV guys now doing something they've never done before. They're now doing what I've been doing for years, which is you take the radar off and you look underneath to see if it's actually affecting anyone before getting all excited about it. And a lot of times it's not. It's over just a field. And they used to never do that before, but now I'm seeing that occur on one of the TV stations. So they caught on. All right, so there, again, this is this broad area here, which is completely collapsed. The inbound wind's almost all gone. It's all outbound at this point. The cross-correlation coefficient is gone. So I think this thing's done. It's toast. It did what it was supposed to do, which was weaken. Now, you still might have like a lingering funnel or, still a wall cloud type deal, wrapped in rain, lowering, but as far as what it was before, that's all done. And hopefully here on this next scan, even with how weak this is, hopefully next scan it's even less than that. Because I think that actually went over a couple of farmhouses here, or maybe a small neighborhood right in this area. So it weakened just as it went across 62 and went into this area. So hopefully those guys, again, were in their shelters, and with it being much weaker, would not have as much of a significant impact. So all that is about as good news as you can get after you're tracking a tornado on radar, which was estimated to be a very strong EF3. Nothing else has developed yet on this leading edge. Let's see. So the structure of it is garbage right now, as far as the supercell goes. So it's going to have to get reorganized and reproduce basically kind of like a new inflow area of the storm. A lot of times that'll happen either on the back end, like here, or you might get a resurgence from what's left over in the front end. If we look, it's all convoluted mess, but maybe something here on this front end here. There's our old tornado here. What's left of its weak circulation pretty much dying out and dead. We do have that other storm up here in Harmon County again. We'll see if anything comes up around the Hollis area. But you can see how small this storm is compared to this guy here. Let me see, anything else? Nope. Everything else is quiet. Lots of hail though for you guys in Altus, although it appears to be small right now, pennies, but on the west side you have hail estimate up around 2.89 inches. So that's a pretty significant hail core. This white area here is the radar algorithm notation of that, and that'll be zip in this direction. So you're probably going to some big hail. Let's look at the Z. All right, so let's see this. So here is current heavy high reflectivity values. Your ZDR is down around -3. So that typically equals large hail. And then KDP is actually has a lot of melting associated with it. All right, good. So it's not as large as it could be because a ton of melting, water coated on those hailstones. So it gives a higher reflectivity value, which would indicate typically larger hail. But it's a little misleading because it's when those hailstones start to get a coating of water, it then causes the power return on the radar to just like flare up. So the radar then gets confused and it thinks, oh, that's a big hailstorm. But in reality, when we can differentiate it with our different dual pole moments, then we can find out other key things that we look at, such as this. And when this happens, it's usually an indication that it's a lot of melting hail, which is a false giant hail type signature. All that to say is that the hailstones that come down should not be 3 inches in diameter. They should be maybe golf ball or smaller. And we can look aloft as well, just to see. Let's see, I wanted to do this. Keep an eye on that Hollis area. And then that little circulation center we talked about, southwest of Altus. Could become tornadic, or might be like a little funnel. It'd be weak at this current time. But we do have basically 2 gates here. And this is 2 miles outside of town, southwest of town. And should this thing actually produce a tornado, we're talking about 2 or 3 minutes away from coming into town. Let's see, now we have, no, we'll see. You have to watch for the southern edge to try to reorganize. And then you have your back edge. So remember what I was telling you, you can, on a supercell, you can either watch the back edge or what was left over of the front end. So we'd have to watch for something in this area, and then this whole region here, you watch for little things that try to spin back up. So Altus, just stay in your shelters just in case this little little guy here ends up being a small tornado. Let me see real quick. Let me look aloft. So it does have a lot of hail. Hail core is pretty tall. DBZ values though are only at 64 or less, up to 40,000 feet. So a lot of this is being held aloft versus coming down on top of you. So there's Altus right here. So you have one little core coming down on top of you right now. Let's go back. So this other one's been holding. Okay, some of that is coming down then. Okay, so we go back here, and then notice how some of it drops and then drops. So next scan, next scan. So more of it's coming down the ground. So a lot of this hill core then is coming down just west of town, and some over town. But we calculated it's probably golf ball or smaller. We'll see. We should start to get some hail reports coming in here. Let me flip my panels. Okay, there's that little deal. It's not much, just, you know, it's not overly concerning at all. It's just a little circulation area, but it is coming in the southwest side of town currently. All right. So that little area we talked about, southwest of Altus, has already disappeared. But new ones could form because you have a little convergence zone here, right here on the southwest or southern side of town. So if one does develop, it would rotate right about this spot and then kind of move northeast. So nothing there yet. Just stay in your shelters in case it did happen, because it would be pretty close to you. Let's see, in the back end, nothing yet. And this other storm, nothing yet. All right, so hopefully we don't get anything here on this front end. It starts to completely fall apart. That's what I'd like to see. Let's see. So when these guys were over at this point, alright, so these guys had their radar up, but for some reason they didn't capture all the data. Interesting. Alright. So that tornado lasted for over 30 minutes, and that's a rarity. They do normally not last that long. And it was a large tornado, most of its life cycle too. So in Altus, again, you're getting some of that hail. Let me see what we got on the reports. 1.75 golf ball size, called it, and 1.25. All right, good deal. The algorithms and the radar data still say 2.96 inches. So they still think there's some 3-inch size stones in there. But again, I think they just got fooled because of the water coating. But golf ball size hail does do roof damage and car damage. So some of you may need a new roof in Altus after this. Alright, so we have south of town this new little region here, which correlates to the edge of what this looks like, a little mini hook, if you will. It's just a little, two little pixels, two little gates side by side. Just so you know, that's an inbound wind of 23 miles per hour and outbound of 55. So we're talking, 75, 80 miles per hour of rotational velocity, which we just got a tracking 250 mile per hour rotational velocity. So this is, in comparison, extremely weak. This would be like an E of 0 type tornado. And that's assuming that, it actually does something. And it's gone, just like that, already gone. But that happens in these little areas, these little transient vortices, they get kind of pulled up and stretched in the updraft, and get maybe a little brief funnel out of it or a little rotation out of it, and then it's gone. So, like I said, this supercell isn't quite structured properly. Let's go back to a full screen here. So if you notice, our old supercell really is kind of in this fashion. The hook, wrapped up in on itself and then died out. We have an extension on the back end now. So let me go look at what this looks like when I put it in motion, because it's been too long since I've seen it move, and let's see what it did. All right, so there's our hook. Went way out here, back into it, died out, and then this back end of the storm is now kind of redeveloping. So it has to go through this whole new cycle. Meanwhile, we had this guy up here bubble up around Harmon County, move south to Hollis, and it's getting stronger as far as a hailmaker goes. It says 2.5 inch sail, 2.5 inch size hail in the algorithms for that one. Alright, nothing threatening on that deal for tornadoes. And this one here, also nothing threatening at the moment. Anything else? Nope. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. So this is in a reorganizational phase. So in other words, nothing's going to happen in the immediate short term. It's going to take another 10 minutes probably before it can even get to a point where it looks like something may develop. And that goes for both of these storms, by the way. So let me look at a few things online and see. Look at some data. So it looks like Corey's out ahead of probably that leftover spot, looking for any renewal of development. Okay, so let's do this. Alright, so the Storm Prediction Center did not issue any new watches. So we still have that old tornado watch in southwest Oklahoma. It just covers a few counties and that's it. So let's talk about Saturday. Alright, so here's a look at Norman's office for Saturday. An enhanced area of severe weather across central Oklahoma. Large hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes. Typical stuff, right? Let me see, what else I want to see. Oh, real quick, before I go back into that, let me do this. If a tornado were to occur again with this, probability of an EF0 to EF2 is up around 21%. Anything higher than that is down to 1 to 3%. And looks like it's about to get into an unfavorable area. So it's leaving the environment where it was most favorable to produce. Yeah, it had a better environment where it was half an hour ago versus now. So as the Warn-On forecast had suggested, this thing's going to fizzle. And if I go and pull that up, by the way, we'll see if they've got a new version. Where is that? Right here. Okay, let's see here. We are in the probability of at least one tornado report. All right. Keeps it about 10%, then drops it to 5% once it gets around the Lawton area. And then that's it. It disappears. Let's see what it does with the reflectivity. Okay, so this is looking at, where are we, 8 o'clock. So here, currently, all right, let's go an hour. There's an hour later. And another hour after that. So it keeps it going through Lawton. But if we look at the members, half has it kind of fallen apart. The other half keep it. And then half of those still have a helicity track, and the other half don't. And that'll be more likely for hail and wind rather than a tornado. And we can look at that also. I think I did that a minute ago, but we can do that again. Probability of a tornado. You can see a little spot down there. Just disappears. Goes from 20 to 10 to 5. All right, so that's the short-term version. So everything in this data set says over the next hour it's a continual weakening trend over time. So let me see again real quick. Just make sure nothing happens while I go look at some data. Yep, everything's good. Everything's good. Okay, let's go back to where I was. This one. Right, so now the HER for tomorrow, Friday afternoon, does have a line of severe storms from north of Fort Smith, just about south of Muskogee, McAllister. It kind of curls it back down to probably just east of Ardmore. This is the HER model. This develops along a cold front, so there could be some hail, wind, and potential tornado in that zone. Let's see what the sounding looks like. So yeah, wind's a little weak here, but otherwise you have really great turning with height, big hail signature, over 4 inches in diameter, wind, so big cape, so kind of similar to today. So yeah, I might have a couple of tornadoes there in southeastern Oklahoma for tomorrow evening. All right. Let's see here. The NAM. Boy, it got a little crazy today. Thought there'd be a lot more action, didn't it? Look at that. Okay, so let's go to tomorrow. Doesn't really have anything down there in southeast Oklahoma tomorrow. Keeps it 2 capped, I guess. All right, then we'll go into Saturday. All right, so Saturday's getting a lot of press already. Okay, so here's 6 o'clock. Let's go to 5. 5 o'clock Saturday has got some storms bubbling up here in liberal Kansas. For Oklahoma City, for example. What do we have here? Our atmosphere, very good shear, both turning with height and directional shear or speed shear. Hail sizes and analog data is again up to grapefruit size. Standard stuff, K values of 4,000, but it has a very substantial cap in place with a convective temperature of 95. And this particular 5 o'clock hour showed Oklahoma City at 88. So 88 is not 95. So that's a big difference. So therefore, this model has it capped, meaning no storms. If we look here at Saturday at 5, 6 o'clock. Oh, it's late on bringing back that instability. Look at that. So that's front on Friday. It has it quite strong. So that when we get the return flow for Saturday, it's late to its own party. That's the problem. And that's why those storms up north here in Kansas struggle until they get this big wave of Cape move in. So watch here as that Cape moves north, boom. So this Cape moves north, it feeds in, so now this whole area here is storms. That's why it's erased. It eats it up. It says, I'll take that Cape. Alright, so there's 1 o'clock in the morning. Let's see what the sounding looks like for Tulsa, for example. Monster mega cap. So any storms that were out there be elevated. Which would be good because these are some high instability numbers. Okay. Let's do the NAM and then we'll do a quick little look. Alright, so Saturday morning to afternoon, we have the 300 millibar jet overhead. That's an evacuation method to pull air up. Let's go 500 millibars for the speed max, and we'll see if that's in there. Sure enough, speed max here at 500. Let's go to 850 millibars. And there's here to here. So low level jet kicks in, nice strong south wind. And then 925, closer to the surface. Even has a little bit of a southeast wind. Strong winds to feed in the storm. Low level jet gets going. Okay, and we're going to look at the vertical velocities. Let's see here. So there's Saturday afternoon. It's got a lot along the dry line out here. A little patch here. Okay. Let's look at some severe weather parameters. Let's see what it does with the cap strength. Now it does. So this is again the dry line out in this region. This actually has a cap here ahead of the dry line, and that builds right back in pretty quickly. So according to the NAM, you won't get any storms off the dry line in that area. So that's why this didn't produce anything. Lifting condensation level. See how those cloud bases are. So cloud bases on Saturday, for anything that develops, actually pretty low. Most of them are here in the green. The highest it gets up around 1,000, so that's fine, adequate for tornadoes. Let's go to the significant tornado parameter, which indicates where you have the best ingredients for tornadoes. And that's what's off the charts. Here's from 7 p.m. to 3Z, so to 10 p.m. These numbers are stupid high, all over the state. So it's another deal where, as long as the cap holds, not a big problem. You can't do anything with these indices. It's when the cap is weak or breaks and then storms go into an environment like this, that's when things are out of control. So let's see here. In western, southwestern Oklahoma, temperature of 82, convective temperature of 93, so it has a pretty decent cap that would have to overcome, which isn't going to do it. So that's good. And if we go like east central Oklahoma, even bigger. Let's see, 81, yeah, 93, even a bigger cap out here. So it's good to see. But I rarely ever see a situation where the entire state is covered in a significant tornado parameter that's off the charts. The scale only goes to, I think, 9, and these numbers in here are like a 10. So we'll see what happens, but so the point being is the positioning of the wind shear is correct. The instability is there. These little parameters that we use to forecast the ability to produce strong to violent tornadoes is there. But unfortunately, the one wild card that is always problematic is the cap strength. Do they hold? And if they hold, you got nothing to worry about. All right, let's see here. So this is the Texas Tech for tomorrow. Doesn't do much in southeast Oklahoma either. There's some stuff there by midnight, late. And then on Saturday, it stops here at 4 o'clock. Let me see what the cap looks like here in Oklahoma City on Saturday. Now here, about minus 50. Wind shear is good. So yeah, unfortunately, this guy right here would prevent storms from forming without a big surface kicker to force it to happen. So Saturday's one of those deals, kind of have to watch it and see. As of right now, if you believe the NAM, nothing will happen because we're capped, so we'll see. Alright, so back out here to our storms. This guy here in McQueen is getting better organized. So it's starting to get more of that supercellular look with the more of a developing hook echo. Probability of a tornado is at 26%. So it's pretty high considering we're only in our mid-30s when we got the last one. Then we have this guy here, Altus. Let's see what's happening. So on the southwest side of it, we still have the tail end of it still trying to develop a hook. We do have our little circulation center there, just broad, weak circulation. And if we go over here to Humphreys and Friendship, let's see. Probability of tornadoes at 36%. That's the highest it's been all day. So you do have a little convergence here in this zone. That's about a mile north of Humphreys. And you have a convergence line here. You might get little eddies, but nothing there at this point. You do have a good strong south wind feeding into this. So these wind speeds here in this orange area at 600 feet elevation are at 80 miles per hour. Whoa. So that's a lot of wind to feed into the storm. Let's see what the shear looks like. Let's see if it's changed any. Alright, so for the surface winds, because they're also kind of out of a southeast fashion, and they go up to 7,000 feet, and they finally turn at 8,000 feet. So you're looking at about maybe a 15 degree change there, and this is probably about a 45. So 60 degrees of turning, maybe a little bit more if you want to extend it up. So it's adequate. It's better than what it was for the directional shears. If you notice, this is the last view. This was an hour ago. An hour ago, we did not have that strong southeast surface wind, and let's see, up here is more south-southwest versus southwest. So there's just subtle changes, but that all makes a difference. And the speed shear has increased also by about 5 knots, 5 to 10 knots in most of these areas. So in theory, we should have another tornado here because of the environment. And the storm, all I had to do was just reorganize to take advantage of it. Okay, so in this case, we're just going to see what pops out, what gets developed. Let me put this in motion. Okay, so this back end shouldn't be able to do much because it's behind the gust front around Elmer. So this is the gust front here that came out of this region. So that should cut off the inflow, significant inflow to this area here. So in theory, that should preclude a tornado development. So that focuses you back on the front end around Humphreys and Hedrick, where you see all these little areas here. Those are all little vortices creating little updraft lowerings. So we'll see what if any one of these kind of ramp up. Now this is about to get out of Jackson County. So this is going to head into Tillman County. So let's see, let's do an update on that warning and a track. Moving to the east at 23. So this is a tornado warning updated a couple minutes ago. In effect until 9 for east central Jackson, south central Kiowa, and northwestern Tillman counties. A severe storm capable of producing a tornado was located near Humphreys, moving east to 25. Tornado in 2-inch size hail. Let's see, for just the storm itself impacting Altus, Hedrick, Friendship, Altus Air Force Base, and Humphreys. Now we do have some pretty good wind being detected now, 60, 70 plus miles per hour. This is northwest of Hedrick by 1, 2, 3 miles, and probably about 7 miles east-northeast of Altus, 2110, and south 211, 1620. That's where that's located. So you get these little combinations of strong winds that meet, and that's where you get the best shear that can try to spin something up. So we'll see if anything happens. So in Altus, we talked about that golf ball size hail, and then east, we did get one report of a bigger hailstone to 2 inches. Egg size. Algorithms, though, still going over 3 inches. Let me see if this one had any more. No, 2, 1, 1 1/4. Golf ball, 0.375. All right. Okay, we'll just sit here and for a few more minutes see if this thing pops anything. Here's a nice view from those storms from our roof cam. Those Mamonis are really neat. All right. So we're basically just kind of watching this leading edge of this convergence line. Where basically it's an old outflow boundary to see if we can't get something kind of spin up on the leading edge of it. It's not exactly structured right, honestly. So I'd be surprised. It's kind of in the forward flank. You're better off in this Humphreys area. You know, where this, so northwest of Timpton, somewhere kind of in this facility, trying to get something to rotate. That'd be my pick. It's very turbulent though, back behind this line. Let's see, it's about 1,100 feet. So if you go 1,100 feet, you see these little eddies everywhere. They're not surface based, they're aloft. But it just goes to show you just have a lot of just leftover spin in this area of the storm. So pretty good hail core up there on the north side of Duke. And this storm is too vertical. It needs to wrap around more like this. Just we got a couple more minutes and I think I'm probably gonna wrap this up. So what's interesting here, so I'm still learning how this experimental algorithm is working. Earlier we had kind of a lower environmental setup for producing a tornado. It took about a 35% probability to get one to form. Now that our environment has better ingredients for a tornado, we looked at the shear, both directional and speed. Now I'm looking at these indices going up. That's a 45% probability. So you can probably see this better on this one. Where's my deal? Where is my deal? I don't see it. It's got to be here somewhere. Let's get that off of there. Oh, it went away. Oh, that's weird. The one back here is there, 35. Okay, let's go back to this one. Yeah, this one has it. So strange. All right, so 45% probability, and it's not currently producing a tornado. So learning how to better use this tool for guidance, right? So it appears when you have a low threshold atmosphere for producing a tornado, doesn't take a high enough probability, a very high probability to get one to produce. If it's in the, goes out from nothing, which is started out of 1 forever and ramped up to 35, that's all it took. Now that we have an environment where there's much better shear, and you still have a storm that's quite healthy going into it, it appears that now we have to have a higher threshold to reach tornadogenesis versus before. So we use this as two ways: ramping up quickly, and then now it takes a probability of, say, 70% to actually have a tornado given this current environment than it did in the one 2 hours ago at 35%. So these are just new things, and as scientists, are just playing around. We just put a bunch of ingredients in there for the storm and the environment and try to kick stuff out and see if it's helpful or not. I started using it last year because I was curious how it was going to do. It did okay, and then this year I use it a lot just to kind of gauge and to figure out the best way to utilize it. So next year, if they still have it, I'll be able to put that right here. Alright, so I guess they're going to have a new tornado watch for southwestern Oklahoma, just for this area here, probably a small one to cover these storms. Now normally they don't do that. Normally if it's a watch, has to include, you know, more than just a couple of counties, so we'll see what they do with it. One of the neatest things in tornado research over the last 15 years, really, was to find out how pretty much every tornado is multi-vortex, meaning that they have little dancing vortices within that circulation area. Old school, we used to think it was just a tube, and now we know it's not just one tube, it's a lot of little dancing tubes, some small, some larger. Alright, so that one's still kind of getting its act together. This one's still not doing much. Okay, let's go find what this watch is, and I think I'm going to let this go. Let's go here. Let's see. Hi, baby. Hi. Come here. Did you miss me? Oh, your teeth smell so good today. Yeah. She had her teeth cleaned for the first time. She did not come out of the sleepy medicine very well, did you? You didn't want to wake up. When you get home, you know, when the first time I had this done to them, they're like, "What happened to me? What did you do? Who were those mean people?" And then it takes me a while to get back into the groove. Have a dog bark across the way, and that kind of helps get them out of it. Isn't that right? Yeah. Okay. See, she just took off running, so she's good. All right. All right, so I don't know where this new watch is going to be. I think they're going to put, let's see. They're going to take out Roger Mills and Custer, and they're going to add Comanche and Cotton. So Comanche and Cotton counties, these next two counties are going to be in the watch. So they're just going to keep it a tiny one, just chip away at it on the back end, and just add a couple counties on the front end. So to kind of give you an idea, here's Cotton and Comanche. So that covers Lawton and Walters. So that's going to allow time for this storm to make it here before falling apart. And so if it happens to produce a tornado between here and here, well, then there it's covered. So that's the idea. All right. So we finally have on this front end a little kink here. Actually got a trigger for a little rotation on it for the radar. And that's it. Okay, so there's no tornado warnings in effect. They've all either expired or canceled or etc. They are into an environment though where they could regenerate, but the problem was this. Let me go back to this panel here. Let's see what I want to do. Let's do this one. All right, watch this line right here. See? So basically, after this thing produced the tornado, it gusted out. And so all that stable, cooler air came out to this pattern here. Well, so what that does is it chokes this storm and the back end of this storm with getting really unstable warm air. Now, the leading edge of this was right here to now here. Okay, so that means this is a no-go, no-go. So now you have to look for the only area for potential tornado is at the front end of this thunderstorm, which is the exactly wrong place for that to occur in the forward flank. Structural wise, that would be a very odd place to have one. As of now, it's a convergence line with just little eddies. And so that's what we have right here. So you have these little eddies that just kind of pop up and then disappear. See, watch this one here. Watch what happens to it. Goes away. This one pops up. Watch this. And it stays there, and then it's gone. And now one pops up here. And that's basically whack-a-mole of little vortices that try to go up on the leading edge. So the way this thing is structured, I just don't see a high tornado outcome in the short term. So it's going to have to completely change, and it's already gusted out. Even though it's an environment that is favorable for a tornado, once it's already gusted out, if it can't get its act back together, then it doesn't matter. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Like I said, there's a threat for storms Friday, late afternoon, southeast Oklahoma, evening. And then again on Saturday. But right now the cap looks pretty strong on Saturday. The indices are off the charts once again for Saturday evening. But if we're mega capped across the state, then it won't matter. So anyways, I'm going to wrap up this tornado coverage. I want to thank you for tuning in and checking out and watching it. For all the social media platforms, just like, share, subscribe wherever you're at. And we'll see you on the next broadcast. If it looks like there's going to be something significant tornado-wise in southwest Oklahoma, I'll get back on. But if not, then just enjoy your evening if you are down there. Otherwise, pay attention. Use my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. It's free. Apple, Google Play. It'll tell you if a tornado is coming. It'll warn you ahead of time before the National Weather Service issues a warning. So it uses some of these types of algorithms that we looked at here on our radar display tonight in its little basket of indices that help predict that stuff. So I'm going to get out of here. But you guys appreciate it, and be safe, and we'll see you on the next broadcast. See ya.